Hey guys, it is Last Brohegan, and today I'm going to show you how to unite Japan, or form it, however you want to define it, and also how to trigger colonialism as them. For those of you who are still kind of new to the game, still trying to learn institutions, Japan is probably one of the easiest non-European powers to trigger colonialism with. There's probably a few others in this area too that can do it almost as easily, but Japan just really has the ability to get it quite simply, quite easily, and then this helps kind of shift the power dynamic between the East versus the West. So it's always fun to do it, always kind of fun to steal from the Europeans in this sense. So highly recommend doing this. Japan, the unification of it and triggering colonialism, I'd say is like a medium-ish player difficulty. It's really not that hard, but it's also not a cakewalk either. But it does really help you understand troop movement, working with smaller numbers, and also handling aggressive expansion in a good way. So the nation I'm going to pick for this, or the daimyo that I'm going to pick, is Oda. Oda definitely has probably some of the best ideas out of all of the other daimyos. So Oda is a good one to go to. The only drawback with them is that they are a single province nation at the start. So this will make our opening moves pretty tight, pretty tactical, but as we can see in this playthrough, I'm able to navigate it fairly easily. And then once the ball really starts rolling for them, they're almost unstoppable. In this video, my first target is Tokugawa, but you don't have to choose any one specific daimyo to attack. It's really whoever's going to have either the least amount of alliances, or in this case, no alliances. Because the first opening moves here is going to be very tactical in nature. A good strategy whenever you're fighting anybody is to make sure that if they have allies, they don't stack and then doom stack you. You want to make sure that you take them out individually as fast as possible, and there's no exception here to that. That is exactly what we're going to be looking for. We want to make sure that we immediately hit Tokugawa before they get any allies, or before they are able to stack up with their allies. And then it's just an easy siege down from here. One of the key things to focus on here is always making sure that the Ashikiga clan, that's probably not the right way to say it, but basically the Shogun, is at least relatively happy with you. One thing to always be cognizant of is that aggressive expansion is very real in the Japan for this, and if two of the daimyos get too mad at you, especially with the Shogun, they will form a coalition and fight you, which you might not have the manpower or the money for. Now, there's also a decent chance that as you're conquering Japan, you're able to get your first idea. I highly recommend that you go for exploration on this one. You really don't need any ideas to gain an edge over your enemies in Japan or the other daimyos. It's not going to be that difficult to continue to fight them without an idea that doesn't directly help you in this instance, because we want to start exploring as soon as we can, just so we can also help build up our splendor, especially if we can somehow find the new world. As you slowly become the hegemon on the island of Japan, the thing to be cognizant of is that declaring war on the Shogun is going to cause a lot of instability. In this playthrough, I very unfortunately, by doing so, caused the Peasants' War, which definitely sets me back a bit at the beginning here, but this is still a salvageable run by all means. It's not the end of the world to have a Peasants' War, and in fact, it's been a while since I've had to fight one, so I was kind of intrigued to go through it again. But as soon as you wrap up your war with the Shogun, you immediately want to move on to the Ainu as fast as possible. Their islands are going to be important to help close that colonial range distance between us and Alaska. So once the Ainu have been taken out and we have cored their provinces, or you want to make sure that you are at least coring the northernmost one if admin points is a little bit on the short side or on short supply, which it is definitely for me, handling the Peasant War. So once we have that, you should have the Colonial Range to settle in Alaska. You should have already found it, but then you should now have the ability to settle there on its westernmost islands. And once you have a colony there, you don't even have to have it fully settled. So this is something that I'm pretty early to the game, but you can be doing this in 1499 and even into the 1500. And as long as you just have a colony there, it doesn't have to be fully settled, you are in the running to have colonialism trigger for you. Now, I don't know if I've seen a couple strategies out there that say that you can get it guaranteed. You really cannot. The only way you could guarantee having colonialism spawn on your side is by save scumming, because how the institutional system works is that how many ever countries qualify for it, they just kind of choose at random. They all have an equal chance, but they kind of just choose at random. So for colonialism, your two obvious suspects are going to be Portugal and Spain. Sometimes France and maybe England are there as well in the mix, but it's at least Portugal and Spain. So you just have to kind of hope for the best, and if you want to, you can slow down the game. So when it ticks at January 1st, 1500, if you don't get it, you can just Alt F4 out of it and just keep doing it until you finally get it. Luckily for us, though, that is no issue. We actually get it. No save scumming here. This is a true colonialism for Japan, which is huge. It saves us a ton of monarch points. Which you will find out, especially with like the printing press, you're gonna have to spend a lot to get it. Which that's life, but not too bad. And so that's kind of the whole idea of this video: how to unite Japan. The only other thing that you have to do to truly unite Japan, if you're looking to get the achievement, is after you've taken over the Ainu, you still need to get Okinawa. Sometimes you can do so through vassalage, because one problem is that Okinawa is going to be a tributary of the Ming, and you might not have the forces for it. I would not, unless you have just a super strong navy, I would not tempt the Ming until they start imploding. The only other real advice I have for your colonial nation now, or your colonial expansion, is the island of Micronesia has a world wonder there, Pandol, which gives you 10 plus settlers right off the bat. Highly recommend sending your settler there after you get this, or after you've tried to get it in Alaska, because getting those 10 extra settlers, and if you want to expand it later on, you certainly can. But yeah, it's definitely a good wonder to have for your expansion here, and you just don't want to let it fall in the hands of the Portuguese or the Spaniards. And yeah, that is my little guide and tutorial on how to unite Japan and also trigger colonialism for them. Hopefully this was helpful. If you like what you saw, please hit that like button, and please comment down below. I love seeing your guys' comments, so I always really appreciate those. So yeah, thanks for watching, and this is Last Rohican. Take it easy.